Hello and welcome to Movie Buffs, a show that covers the best action films of all time. I'm your host, Shani B. You can find me on all the socials at It's Me, Shani B.
And I'm your other host, Cisco from Misfit Minded. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Misfit_Minded and my website at misfitminded.com.
And today we are talking about the 2003 film Ong-Bak, the Thai Warrior, starring Tony Jaa and directed by Prachya Pink Keu. I'll go with that. I'm trying my best.
That's as best as I could have probably said it. So, yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, it's about a young martial artist who must take on the Bangkok underworld to retrieve his village's stolen Buddha head before the Ong-Bak festival. So I've seen this movie before. So I kind of wanted to get your thoughts before I talk about it because, yeah, this was your first time. So what did you think?
Oh, well, I didn't know this was your first time. For some reason, I thought maybe you had always wanted to check it out. So that's some good clarification for me. I liked it. I thought it was so
Yeah.
creative and inventive and just like right in the same wheelhouse as a lot of those movies of the like late 90s that are just taking really extreme and really fun chances with stunts. Like
Hmm.
straight out of the gate, just from the top of the movie, I was sort of like, what are the like I was like, how real are these stunts about to be to the point where like, am I going to be grossed out for like the wrong reasons, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like I was pleasantly surprised to see that like for the most part it was in good fun or something. And so
Hmm.
I had a really good time. And yeah, it reminded me a lot of First Strike, the Jackie Chan movie we watched, and how
Yeah.
that was like so sweeping and large. And so yeah, I am a fanny bee of this of this movie. Gonna have to check the rest of the franchise out.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I noticed like a little Luc Besson like shout out at one point in the movie, which was so interesting to me because I really thought it had like a Danny Boyle vibe, and to see this like random Luc Besson thing, and then do a little research and learn that Luc Besson like is who brought it sort of to Western audiences
What
is
was the
kind of
shout out?
wild.
I missed it. What was the shout out?
When someone jumps from like a bridge, on the bridge in graffiti, which I have to imagine was added later, it
Yeah.
says like Luc Besson, we're waiting for you or something.
Oh, yeah, I missed that. I did not catch that.
Yeah, I had to do a quick rewind to catch it. I'll see if I can capture it and throw it up on buffs for us.
Okay.
But yeah,
Good catch. Good
it's
catch.
yeah, you could tell that it had this kind of energy, this kind of upbeat thing that I, of course, always associate with Danny Boyle, but that I guess Luc Besson does also do. So that
Hmm.
was interesting. I like the quirks of this movie too, sort of like the over the top acting and
Hmm.
the Serpico t-shirt that the guy was wearing, like just little details that are so enjoyable and again creative. Like I guess with movies like this, you always assume the action will be creative, but you can never know what you're going to get. And the imagination here is so good. So, so good.
Yeah, this was like so we're doing this on the 20th anniversary of the release. So 20 years old now. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But I do remember like at this time just being like the time when I did see it when I was like a kid, just kind of being blown away. Like I had not seen anything like this.
Hmm.
Like there's like we said, Jackie Chan, um, some of the other guys like that were coming out, Jet Li, that were doing their own thing, but like this brand of like gritty, like Muay Thai,
Yeah.
elbows, like that were just raining down the entire
Flying
time,
knees. Hmm.
flying kicks. Like I just like really gravitated towards that because and then UFC. There's a lot of like Muay Thai in there too, but just
Oh, yeah.
not to this level. So it kind of like all came at like the same time of like using your knees and elbows as like weapons, like because they're the hardest part of your body,
Oh,
and
my gosh.
it just
And
adds this extra like oomph to all the fights to when he's like finishing people with his elbows or something like. um
yes, and it really highlights the unique timing that he is capturing by sort of like anticipating where the person he's fighting is going to go and like beating him with a knee
yeah,
or a kick or something.
yeah.
Really, really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the other thing too, is like very but still capturing the acrobatic stuff that we like know and love. Like flying through the air with the knees too. Yeah,
Yes.
like some guy would try to kick him and he would like climb on top of him, or
Yeah,
you
walk
know,
over like 6 guys.
yeah, knee him while the guy's trying to get one kick off. So it's just like a different style of fighting
Really
than
fun.
we're used to. And like the other movie that he had around this time that I remember was called The Protector, which is very similar. I honestly I think I got some parts confused, like with because I was like, oh yeah,
I have
like
to
this
check
is
it out.
this part, but like yeah, basically the Protector, it's like instead of a Buddha head that's stolen, I believe it's like an elephant husk or something, like an elephant.
Okay, another meaningful
Yes.
village artifact. Got
Yeah.
it.
And of course he's the protector and he has to go and get it back, and just um a whole bunch of action and crazy shit like ensues.
Yes, I think it's the same director. When I was, like, looking around to sort of see what
Okay.
kind of collaborations were here, I think they collaborated on that film too, and it does seem like, yeah, there is that common theme of sort of respecting, the Buddha and, Thai culture and how
Hmm.
Muay Thai is also a part of that, which,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess, like, I didn't expect them to be maybe to hold it up as high, but it's sort of like in Chinese kung fu that they're always making sure to highlight the cultural significance there. So it was kind of
Hmm.
cool to be like, yeah, that's right. We've like been to the Ip Man universe and
Yeah,
now we slide over to the
exactly.
Thai warrior. Let's go.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know, like Tony Jaa, he's such a like a small and unassuming guy too. Like when you
Mhm.
first meet him, and but like right away he's just so lightning fast, and like when they show him like training, like basically shadow boxing but with like all the Muay Thai moves, you're
Yes.
like, "Oh shit, like this guy, like do not want to fuck with this guy." But then like I do like how the heads of the village are basically like, you're not supposed to use this, like this is just for like protection. We don't like, and so
Yeah, it's
s-
culture, right?
similar
It's
to
like
that
lessons.
yeah, similar to that Ip Man, what you're saying, like he's a master, he trains people for it, but he doesn't like go out looking for fights. But then like in the Jackie Chan tradition, fights always seem to come to him, and he's like on the defensive and like
They're
ha-
unavoidable.
having to beat everyone's ass at one time. So
It's very true. Yeah,
yeah.
both the, village heads and also the rule makers at the UFC are like, "Some of these things are off limits because they are too dangerous." And I do love, I guess, like, that at least in these movies, that's always something the lead is questioning and the story itself is questioning, like, this idea of, like, we don't really wanna have this violence, but if we're going to have it, we're going to capture it in the most awesome way of all time. And there is something so funny about how like he's like a monk and he's preparing to become a monk, but first he'll have to like cut through a bunch of these dudes in to become the monk. Like it
But
I love that.
you do see him living by that code throughout the movie. Like I think they do a good job of like, there's like a gambling subplot in this, and like
Mhm.
he's wants no part of it. He fights the guy just to get to his money that was bet with.
Mm.
He was like, I don't want
Yeah,
the
stolen.
reward for beating this guy. I just want my stolen money back.
Yeah, from these sweet ass villagers who are all like,
Yeah.
here's literally we have nothing and I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you everything to go to the city. Oh man. Humle was such a douche, being like, "Oh yeah, I
Oh
got your
man.
back. I'll take you to Don," and then just being such a shyster.
We'll talk about Humle. Yeah, we'll talk about his cousin, but yeah, there he's a person too that I forgot, like they kind of leave it up in the air, but I do believe he comes back in the sequels. I do remember that.
So he's not
He,
gonna
he's not dead.
officially die? I mean, it
No.
was
I think he was
excruciating.
he was such a he was such a fan favorite, probably. Like he's the comic relief, like you said, like a shyster, like
Mhm. Yeah, he's always got a
uh,
surprise, and we need that.
yeah, and he's like he can take care of himself, and like he's like street smart.
Yes.
Uh it's just like the best fighter. He can like get around the city and navigate. I'm not sure about the little girl though, but I just remember that guy's head and that buzz cut and like the funny character, and I'm like, yeah, I think that guy's in at least the second one. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
He's
Yeah,
got charisma, so he should be.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a Buddha himself, to be honest. I don't know if that's offensive or not, but he kind of has that like look to him, with like the blonde, like very short blonde buzz cut, and it's funny too. Like we'll talk about with the you know plot holes and stuff like that, but like when his stunt double like was in
The
there.
stunt doubles across the board here. I
His stunt double like clearly had like slicked back hair, like that they had blonde, and they tried to like
yeah,
put
they
it
must
down
not
as
have
much as they
had
could, but it's like, bruh, he did
yeah, the
not want to
wig
shave his
department.
head. Yeah,
It's
but I
true, it's
thought that
so
was so funny.
surprising. I didn't expect there to be so many, I guess, like, stunt people. I thought maybe all the actors were stunt performers, so I think that was maybe one of the funniest surprises to me was
Yeah,
being like, "Oh my god, there's actual stunt performers in the most terrible wigs you've ever seen. Let's go."
they're pretty
I
bad.
did not see that one coming.
Yeah, they're pretty noticeable and bad, but like I like what you were saying with like the Danny Boyle comparison because it does have that like really low budget handheld kind of feel
Gritty.
like they're doing this by themselves. Um so yeah, Tony Jaa, that's the appeal of these type of movies. Like Tony Jaa, he's on the poster that he's going to be doing all of his own stunts at least.
Got
And
it,
I don't
that's
know
true.
about everyone else. And probably I would assume like a lot of the main cast are like just known actors over there,
Okay.
and so that's why they need stunt doubles, because they're not like action stars. That's what I'm assuming at least. Like,
Totally, totally. I
yeah,
mean, I guess I'm sure too that like, the kind of stunts they're asking the average
they're
person to
pretty
do.
gnarly. They're
Yeah,
pretty
exactly. It's not like you'd have to really love it, I think.
Yes. The last things I just wanted to talk about, the villains. I forgot completely about the villains in this movie, but they're so
So good.
funny and
Yes.
like cartoony and like so. You got the one guy with the voice box because he's a smoker, and so
That's
like
right.
all of his dialogue is like robotic, and so it's like he's like doing bets on the fights, and he's like 10 million.
Yes, yes. So
Oh
until
my
he smokes out of
god.
the hole at one point too,
Smokes out of the
straight up.
hole. That was
Oh,
crazy. So that was funny. And then his like right hand man, like his security, this like beefed up, tatted up guy who
roided
like
up guy also, don't
roided up.
forget.
Yeah. And so it's like, and they kind of tease the whole movie like this guy's up to something, like what's the deal with this guy? Like they just show like kind of him in pieces or like,
Yeah.
and then towards the end you get you know like the Thai warrior versus him fight twice, once because he throws the fight.
With a surprise, which was a total
I didn't I
surprise.
forgot about that too, yeah, and so like that was crazy that he like lost, but then it's like no, he threw it, he didn't really lose, like we're all
Mm-mm.
still good. And then yeah, just showing him taking the roids, which like I'm not sure how steroids works, but like at one
That's
point
not
he
I
has
don't
like
believe.
5 syringes and he just goes and it's like,
And he's like,
oh,
"Ah!"
I'm pretty sure that's not how it works, like more needles is more strength, like I I don't know if that's how
Yeah,
it's
like, because at some point I was like, "How's he not gonna die? Like,
right.
he might die during this." And
Hmm.
it's true, that was, like, a very campy, interesting detail to be like, because the actor who was playing this guy was already doing, like, a great job being like,
He
"This guy's a
was,
loose cannon, so,
yeah.
yeah, I'm scared enough." The steroids thing was such an extra thing I don't think we needed.
I do like it though, and similar to we talked in the Rocky Four episode of like, kind of modern technology versus original country. So it's like this guy from rural background going to this like urban setting and facing off against steroids, which he probably doesn't even know exist,
Yeah.
because he probably doesn't even know what that is.
Yeah, he's like, "Some sort of magic potion,"
Yeah.
right? For real.
So I kind of latched onto that, like meaning within the campiness of it, I guess. And then yeah, on top of the just the cinematography and the choreography, the music in this, it's like it's very 2000s, but it's just like,
So
god, we
2000s.
do not get like straight up fight scenes that are just backed by like hip hop electronic
N
music anymore, like,
no.
and just straight up like playing the full song, like minutes of the song,
Yeah, I mean,
and
these
you're
fights are not too shabby. They're nice
and
and
they're like
long.
and they're long takes, and so it's like it just, I don't know, it got like got me amped up. Like I was just like, damn, this music is good, this fighting is good. I was like, I
Yes.
remember why I love this movie. And it's like, yeah, the music is kind of dated, but in a way, it's like I kind of like that. It's like the look of it, the sound of it, the feel of it, everything is this 2003. You know what I mean? Like it's just,
Yeah, and it
yeah,
really does capture, I think, what the story is also after, which is like a kind of frenetic and on edge energy. Just like
yeah,
how, like, when we get the most comparable modern thing to this, like in the John Wick movies, where like the music matches how cool and calm and collected he is while he fights so fast. In these movies, I feel like it's showing you how Tony Jaa is like basically fighting for survival, and it's mirrored in the music. That like
yeah,
he just sees these things and then it's like, okay, I have to, climb over these guys or fly through these two glass plates, like
yeah.
just so many things where the music really randomly did help. And I did read that that was one of the things Luc Besson did, was he rescored the movie to
Oh,
put
okay.
those things in, which, okay, I like
Which we
need to
talked
do.
about with The Raid as well, which was rescored with Mike Shinoda with Lincoln because it had a
Mm,
completely different score originally. Because so
it's really
music
interesting
music does play a big part, I think, and especially for Western audiences, they probably have us in mind, while they're
when they do that.
picking and choosing these. That probably wouldn't resonate as much over there. So that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it's true. I think about that a lot because you know me, I'm out here like looking for those scores and I want there to
Yeah,
be that like wall of sound also telling a story. And that is an interesting thing to think about, that like this is truly culturally something I'm being exposed to, but they've even catered it to me anyway. They're like, yeah, this was ours, but we knew you'd like it better if we put this music on it. So we did.
yeah, it's like, and that's why I like it a lot too, because it reminds me of like those, PS2 video games where it's like as soon as the fight starts, they would have a
Yes.
popular like hip hop song or something, and it's
Yep.
like that's when the fight would start. Even in movies too, like I was thinking of Cradle to the Grave, the Jet Li and DMX movie came
Mm,
around this time, and like
yes.
that's probably the best part of the movie to me is like Jet Li is in a cage match and then like DMX starts playing in the background. You're just like, oh fuck yeah, let's go.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
he is
Yeah,
about
it's
to
a
beat the
vibe. It's
fuck
a
out of these
total
guys.
vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions or plot holes before we move on to like specific sequences for
I
you?
mean, I didn't love how, I guess, like, I didn't love the story with the gal. She was, like, kind of random. It felt like she didn't really get to
You're
help
talking about
out in terms of the overarching story. The
the
one who
little
worked with
girl.
Humle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
I was
she was
I was
around, she was kinda cool, but I guess I felt dissatisfied with sort of, like, the ladies of the story. Because, like, the only other gal I can think of is, like, the poor woman who I think is supposed to be, like,
uh,
supposed to be someone Humle knows that oh man, that
yeah,
was really made to pay and, used as
it's
bait
tough.
to get Ting to come and fight, like, nah, I didn't love the ladies in this story, but it's
It's
classic
a
early
theme. It's
2000.
a theme that comes up a lot on the show, especially because we cover a lot of older movies.
And yes.
So hate to sound like a broken record, but I do agree with you. Like it was very kind of unsettling how some of the women in here were treated. Like the one that got the cocaine like smashed in her face, like
Murdered. She was
huge
murdered that
amount.
way.
Yeah, like just a fucking
Suffocated with
pound,
it,
just
basically.
like in her face. Like that was really unsettling. Like base, and then there's like many sexual assaults in here. Like so that was basically that girl was
Yep.
like forced upon, and then like in the when they're in that huge fight arena,
Yep, at the
um,
bar.
how one of the guys like gets our main character to goad him into fighting. He like grabs a woman and just starts like dry humping her, and it's like holy shit.
Yeah, he's like, "Come on, come over here."
Yeah,
And frankly, Ting doesn't do shit until she slaps the woman in the face. Like, once the slap, that's when he's like,
yeah.
"Okay, there's my line." It's sort of like,
Yeah,
"Dude."
it was pretty, and they were like calling him out for it. They're like, "You're being a coward right now." And I was like, honestly, I don't know what he's waiting for. Like, how is this gonna get any worse than it already
Yeah,
is?
like,
Like,
we all know that you know that we know that they know you're being goaded. Just, like, go anyway because it is unbearable. but it's true, like we have to just acknowledge it and tip our hats to know that like we love these movies and they have great action, but they were pretty male dominant historically and focused kind of on the story of the dude here. And this is another interesting kind of story too, because I feel like a lot of these movies, the love interest situation has to take a back seat. Like there's not even any woman he might be interested in this story. And I guess maybe because he's becoming a monk, like is
I
he
think
going to
that's
be
what it is.
celibate? Okay.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, honestly, I didn't think this movie needed it. I do agree with you that like I was very confused about like the little girl character. I'm like, is this just like some girl on the street that like Humley like found? Like I
Yeah.
don't think it's like his daughter or anything like that. Like, but he's like obviously
Yeah, they work
kind of
together.
caring for her in a sense.
Mhm.
Like, and yeah, I kind of wanted to know a little bit more about her to have like more of a role because like that gambling scene, I will say, was like pretty awesome. Like
Yeah.
I love gambling like movies and like scenes where they kind of like capture that like exhilaration, and then like when that they're working together and she's cheating and he has to
Yep.
like hide the cards, like all that stuff I thought was like really clever. Even though Humley again being just a dirtbag and like putting her in this situation. Like,
Yeah,
putting,
I mean, I didn't love the dub because it kind of sounded like they made her
oh, you
voice
watched the
sound
English
younger.
dub? Ah,
Well, I didn't watch the fully dubbed version, but it sounded like the voiceover, even though I was still reading, was dubbed, like that they picked a
mm,
younger sounding
oh.
woman,
Yeah, I kind of know what you
than
mean.
you
The
know what I
voice
mean? It,
does
like,
sound
looked
pretty like
yeah.
anime, like I
It
don't
was a
know, like
little
young
whiny. I
girl.
feel so
Yeah.
bad saying that, but, like, especially at the end, I was like, "Shit, I know we're all sad about what's just happened. Please, please."
No, I was okay. That scene too. I know what you're talking about, but I was kind of like, this guy is like on his deathbed, and she's like shaking him super fucking hard.
Yes, and
Like,
screaming at
wake
him.
up! I'm like, bro, like
Yes,
maybe
read
have
the room, girl. Read
yeah.
the room.
Bedside manner a little bit. Like this could be your last words of with him. Like, oh man. All right, yeah. So let's get into some of these details here of what we what sequences stood out to you, I guess, as like some of the MVPs of the movie.
Oh, I mean, I think that chase where he is getting away from the bigger group and kind of encountering groups as he goes
Yes.
and just like running all over any and everything through the streets was just like so exhilarating where I was like, what next? What next? And also again, like a really good introduction to how maybe we started in a place where it seems a little muted, but like we're gonna get to these extremes. And so I
Yeah.
think I
It takes
really
its
like
time. It
that.
honestly does take its time for the action to start. Like, I was
Mhm.
surprised because, yeah, you get his time, like, in the village, and then even when he gets into the city, it's, like, more of a,
Yeah, he's still investigating, trying
real
to
like,
figure out.
mystery. Yeah, mystery, trying to
Mhm.
figure out stuff, and, like, it's only when he gets to that, fight arena, like, underground fight scene that, like, the fights start, and so,
Hell
uh,
yeah.
that first fight is, like, one of my favorites. I remember seeing that, like, in the trailer, like, just, like, I didn't know it was gonna be the first fight, but, yeah, they're all, like, hyping this guy up, like, "This is the champion, there's no fucking
Yeah,
way, 10-1 odds that he's gonna take this little dude out," and then just one kick across the chest and he's
dude.
done.
Yes, and the sound effect of crickets too,
Yeah.
like a complete understanding of what they're doing when they have that scene. So, so good.
Oh
And
god.
like the humor again of the knives for sale going by
Yep.
during the
I had
street
that as
chase.
well. I had that as well. Like where again, Humley being the comedic the voice of this movie, where like he grabs a knife against, and then all this group of people being like, oh shit, he's got a knife against us, maybe we should back off, and then this old lady just comes by like, knives for sale.
Wee, 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 wee. Here's my little cart.
Oh, sounding like Billy from Saw with the tricycle just coming by.
Rolling through. Yeah, like so smart, so silly. Just
Oh
another
god.
great little clue that like this movie is not just about the action. Sure it really can get lost in it, but in a good way, and it still remembers the mission. And yeah, there's a storytelling in that, right? Like we can't just go on a chase for 15 minutes straight. We do need there to be holding periods, and done so well in that first chase for sure.
And I think it's
Um
always a good reminder to have someone that's not a professional, because then it like makes you realize just how amazing Tony Jaa is, that he's doing all this shit. So like in that scene in particular where they're running away, he's doing flips over stuff, and then Humley would like try and do a flip after him. And it
Yes.
would just be, and I'm like, that's how I would look if I tried to do any of this shit. Like,
Yes.
and
Yes.
honestly, Humley wasn't doing that bad of a job. Like he was doing okay. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
considering the differences. And it's true, it's almost meta in that way.
yeah. I kind of had that similar reaction in the new Mission Impossible, where like Haley Atwell, she's not an IMF agent, she's just a pickpocket. So like Ethan Hunt's like, drive the car, and she's like, what? I don't fucking do this. Like,
Yeah, she's like, how? Where? What?
I always love that. I just love that dynamic. I think it's always a winning formula in
Ugh.
action movies.
It's true.
Um,
It makes sure to keep the comedy there so that again, like we can be doing all of this intense stuff, but still find a grounding in the humor.
yeah, I talked about the gambling scene and how that was shot. You know, again, like, you know, Rounders, that's a 90s one. So like kind of capturing that.
Love that one.
We were all obsessed with gambling at the time, I guess. Poker.
Still
And
forever.
yeah, Ocean's 11 and was around that time probably too. So it was a big deal. And just, yeah, like Helmley just has a fucking gambling problem, dude. Like he just cannot help himself.
No, no.
He
I mean,
owes
it's one of
everybody
those.
money.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, they're making their own way in a city, and I think in some sense they kind of that's kind of what Humley's trying to say and, like, why when Ting comes with a letter from his dad, maybe
Yeah.
he's so resistant because he doesn't wanna have to, like, maybe admit and accept that, like, in order to have the freedom of living in the city, he has to live this way,
Mhm.
and yeah, like, that's definitely a much deeper read than we are shown on screen, but,
Yeah, it's
um
pretty thin on that plot, but
yeah, like,
I
I
was
wonder about
expecting
that
him to come at
too.
the end, like, but maybe they didn't know that he was still gonna be alive. But I definitely was expecting him to come back at the end and like reunite with his dad. I was waiting for that scene, and it never came.
It did not. I was gonna say, yeah, the end was, like, a little bit kind of too quick for me too, where, like, an
Yeah.
amazing final sequence, like, in the cave, just sort of sweeping through the whole last chapter there, but then just sort of, like, a really far establishing shot is what
It almost
closes
felt
the
like they
film.
ran out of money, to be honest, if I had to.
Probably did. Oh,
If I
that's
had
what
to,
sucks.
yeah,
Mhm.
if I had to put a reason to it. I mean, okay, that parkour chase, just wanted a couple more. I mean, that chase is amazing. Like, just so many great stunts in that one sequence. This was
Epic.
probably also like one of the first times I'd seen parkour, even though I didn't have like a name for it at the time,
Yeah.
because like it really started getting popular around like 2005, 6, I want to say, in America.
Well, it's sort
And
of
this is
like
like a couple years
yeah,
before that.
these guys, I feel like in all the kung fu movies had been sort of experimenting with a version of parkour. They just like were
Yeah.
doing it with the hijinks by being like, "Oh, here I am, like tight roping this bar."
Hmm.
Versus like in this movie, they begin to embrace like, "I am making the bar, like I am mastering the bar as I tiptoe across it." And there's something pretty cool about how you're right that like before we know what parkour is, it's already a part of how they tell the story with through fight.
Yeah, I think Tony John in particular though too. Like I again I there's a lot of scenes I remember from The Protector more than this one. I think I might have
I
just
gotta
watched
see
that
that.
more. But there's like a very intense like car garage parkour scene in that one that's like incredible. Like
Wow.
that's what I was kind of like wondering if this was going to have that. But this one does have like that. The parkour scene in this one is still really cool.
Sweet.
Just not like on the scale. I guess like they might have had a bigger budget probably with that one, if I had to
Yeah.
assume, once this became like a hit. But yeah, in that parkour scene, he does like double barrel roll flips, dives through circular barbed wire,
Yes.
does a somersault between two mirrors, like two thinly,
Yep.
matched mirrors, flips
Mhm.
onto a table into the splits, and then he backspins and takes out like bad guys with his leg, like with his kicks while
Yes.
doing that. Like, and that's like all within like 2 minutes. And they, a lot of times they'll like replay like the certain jumps or whatever from different angles and
It's
stuff. Like,
classic early
so
2000s.
you really appreciate what he just did. So
Listen,
yeah,
yeah, you can't miss this shit. It took hours to set up and it's
yeah.
very valuable.
And then oh yeah, and doing a split under the truck, the split slide under the truck.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's just all this.
Inspiring the Fast franchise for sure for years to come.
Yeah, so that I just really wanted to, because that's like probably like the middle action sequence, and that like really was really impressive still 20 years later. And then of course you get like the underground fight club. So you had
Yeah, those are cool.
the one kick knockout, that guy's name was Pearl Harbor, which I thought was really funny. Early
Whoa.
2000s, I guess, too.
Yes, the
um
subtlety. Wow.
But then he also fights this guy with a horrible fro, like what we were talking about.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly. Like what the everybody yeah, all those villainous style characters are very cartoonish.
who like kicks him while he's like in the crowd, uh and then there's this guy Mad Dog who's just constantly throwing shit at him. It was just like every prop
Yeah, the
we
whole
have on
bar.
this set, we are gonna throw at Tony Jaa. And like, to his credit, he's like, yeah, blocking it with his elbows and
That's right, the
uh
knees.
yeah,
Mhm.
with the knees. So that stuff is incredible. Um and then yeah, ultimately I could say like the third act fight is a fight. Where it's just
Ugh.
bananas versus the tatted up guy. I don't want to mention the fight that he threw, because that doesn't really count to me. That was
Ah, yeah,
unfair
yeah.
fight. But I do like the main villain is like, hey, the last fight he threw it, so like
Yeah, so don't
you
fall
gotta bring
yeah, be
your
careful.
shit now. And there's just so many like epic, flips, kicks,
Oh, man.
elbows,
Yeah,
in that final
the
fight.
Yep, yep, there's, like, a bunch of machetes at one point, there's, a big one of those big, like, table saw things, like,
Yep,
flimsy style
flexible
saws that he's
saws.
just getting,
Yeah.
like, oh, sawed with. Yeah, just, like, again, the
And he
ability to be
blocks
like,
it with
"I"
his elbows too. It's like, bro, you're not blocking a steel saw with your
No, with the
elbow.
most jagged edge. Yeah. Yeah, they literally anywhere they're at, they're like, "Whatever is in this room, we could pick up and fight with," and I see that
Yeah.
reflected in the John Wick franchise, like, that
Mhm.
kinda creativity, that goes really well with the idea that, like, we're just defending ourselves, right? Like, I didn't
Yeah.
come here to get in a fight with you, which is why right now this saw is the weapon that's being used because it was just at the place we got in the fight, you know?
Yeah, and he's a monk. He doesn't want to kill, so even with the sword fight, he's not John Wicking beheading guys. Like, he's
No.
defensively, sparring, and then he like throws it past one guy, but he doesn't kill him.
Nope.
It's just like it's all defensive. There's also, I don't know what those things are called either, but like kind of those police, you
Oh,
know,
yeah, like the baton stick things with
yeah,
the
baton
arms.
sticks that go across your forearm, and he's like fighting with the like, which is
They're
like a
awesome.
perfect weapon for him, honestly, because that's how he was fighting the entire movie anyway, like with the
It's true, he
forearms and
finally found
elbows.
them.
Yeah. Oh, it was perfect. But and then yeah, the giant Buddha head taking out the big bad, so perfect.
Perfect karma.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, so that was all. Yeah, those are all the main sequences I had. So any ones you that we missed?
No, no, those are the ones I liked the most, and I think, this is like all the movies we watch, every sequence here has something of merit, belongs in this film, and that's the best. It's so great
Yeah,
when there isn't anything wasted, and even though sometimes it was, like, kind of gratuitous just because it's like, "We're not gonna miss any of this," I think it
yeah,
was earned.
yeah. Okay, I guess we can move on then for our best stunts. We went through all of the sequences. What were the stunts that impressed you the most out of the movie?
Honestly, the stunts of him crawling over people. When he was just
Oh
running
yeah,
over people and, like,
yeah,
tiptoeing on their shoulders, I was
like
just like, "Yeah,
leapfrogging. Yeah,
holy smokes." It looks so cool, and also it looks really effortless, and I wasn't sure how they did it, so I think that stunt stood out to me the most. Whenever he jumped over anything, I was like, "Is he just doing that?"
and
Like, "Is there
actually
a
like
wire?" Like,
actually kicking guys, like when they do the slow mos, like you can see the dust coming off of people, and like and like people falling and stuff, like are actually falling. Like it's
so good.
pretty intense. So
What about you?
yeah. Mine is and I just watched like a behind the scenes clip. I'll post on our page if I can find it again.
Let's go.
But it's the fire kick. It's like something out of Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or something.
Yes.
Because he gets gasoline on his feet, and there's an explosion. His feet go on fire, and how does he put it out? Straight up
With a guy's face.
flips in the air, kicks a guy in the face, and then jumps in a bucket of water after that. to a
So awesome.
thug's face. That's how you put it out. And then and the behind the scenes, they just, that's basically how they set up the shot. They're like lit feet on fire, action, he does the flip, and then goes in the water, and then they cut. And it's like, and that's how they were doing the takes. Like it was pretty awesome to see that, like, behind the scenes look at it. Like, again, these guys are actually on fire, flipping in the air. Like,
That's
it's
right.
pretty fucking intense.
It's amazing.
What about kills? What was your favorite kill of this movie?
I
got one.
I was gonna say, I thought it was a kill, but then it like didn't happen right away. Like I thought he killed the roided out guy at the end when he like gave him a big elbow on the top of his head and like blood exploded.
Yeah.
But then that guy did wake up. So I was like, oh right, I
Yeah.
guess he's like a nice guy. He can't like really kill anyone. But like when that happened, I was like, oh, that's definitely my kill.
Well, yeah, mine's pretty much the back-to-back. Like, so that was, again, with you, if that was the final thing, that would have been my favorite kill too, where it's like, again, the sound effects, you hear the gushing, like
Yes.
just straight up, and then you could see the blood splatter, and you're like, oh yeah, this guy's fucking dead. But he took 5 steroids, so
That's
he
right.
can't.
That's correct.
So
Yeah.
movie logic, he comes back to life with like a red eye this time, like bloodshot eye. And then what does Tony Jaa do in response? But jump from 10-15 feet, doing a fucking double knee pile driver through like 2 stories.
So good.
Through the floorboard, and that
So
guy
good.
is done. Like, I don't see how that guy is living after that. So
Yeah, not after that one, right? It's sort of like he tried to not kill you by like destroying your skull but leaving you alive. You gave him no choice. He had to take you out.
And the way he did it too was like, it was kind of funny because it was like a swimming pool dive. Like, he straight up dived, and then like had his hands lift his feet behind him and just straight up down. Like,
should be an Olympic sport.
It's a 10 out of 10 for me, for sure. 10 out of 10.
Yes, yeah, 10 execution, 10 trick, no doubt about it. Absolutely.
Oh man. Yeah, that's all I had. Do you have anything else?
No. Yeah, this was a good one. I'm, thanks for suggesting it. I'm glad on an anniversary I could catch it and, clear this blind spot. This was an interesting one. There's still so much to discover in action, and I love it so much.
I'm just glad you liked it. That's always, when it's our first time watches, I always hope we like it. So I'm glad you liked it. I will say, Protector has a sequel, and then Ong-Bak has like 2 sequels. They're not as good, unfortunately, but still solid in the way that these action guys are still in there, and they're still probably better than they tried bringing Tony Jaa in like American movies. So he's in like a Mark Wahlberg one that was really terrible, and then he was in a Fast and Furious one that was like, Americans do not know how to edit these type of fights, and it's just really sad.
Kind of filmmaking. Mm-hmm.
It's just really sad, and it's like such a waste because it's like so many, even like the guys from The Raid are in some American fight movie, and it's just like the difference is like, you just why would you even book these guys if you weren't gonna let them have final cut?
Didn't you watch their work? Come on. Yeah, it really is a little disappointing because they are so talented. But, that's what I love about John Wick, right? And Stahelski and those guys is that like they know how to capture it. So I think if there was going to be another wave, which I'd be
they're bringing
totally
these guys in there like Donnie Yen and Scott Adkins, and they know like how to because they came from action. So I think that does make like a huge difference in these. But I mean, for Tony Jaa, I would start here and then move on to Protector, and those are like, to me, like his 2 great action offerings. Like, you can't go wrong with it. They're just so gnarly.
Solid.
Knees and elbows.
Yes, gotta love it. Awesome. All right, cool. Well, I think that wraps it up for us, unless there's anything else you want to add.
Just that my chest hurts after watching some of these kicks, but I think we're good.
The transference is real because he's coming hard.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, that wraps it up for us. Let's remind the people
Yeah.
where they can find us.
Yeah, get your fix and follow the show at We Stay Buff on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Follow me on Twitter at Rampage_Misfit, and my movie pages at Misfit_Minded on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and my website at misfitminded.com.
Yes. Take us for a ride and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please leave a review, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. And you can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at It's Me, Shani B. All right. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope to catch you next time on another edition of Movie Buffs. Stay buff.
Action.
Yes. Stay buff.